Basically, I just want to talk really quick about the hybrid from what Julie said. If you look at the topical outline or the learning objectives, you're going to notice that the lecture is 7.5 and the lab is 15 hours. There's an understanding that some of the lab hours will include, naturally some lecture. It's my anticipation that at least 10 hours will be on campus for CPR, so that way we have that high quality process of the lab work, the skills practice, and the skills testing. And then one small portion of lab will be the skills related to first aid. So I need everyone to remember that. So when you look at that topical learning objectives, outcomes, you're going to notice that lecture is 7.5 and lab is 15. But there's an anticipation that at least a good 10 hours will be hands-on.
I'm going to share my screen just so you can look at that.
Okay. Because I kind of
changed email this to you guys.
Yeah, I kind of changed it to give everybody. Can you go to the topical outline, Julie? Great. So when you're looking at the topical outline, starting at the introduction and citizen responder, you can think of that as class orientation and first aid basics. The second one, prevention of transmission of pathogens, again, is first aid basics. As you move down to assessing the scene and finding the problem, that's where you're basically talking about it, and then you'll be on campus for that time frame for at least a good solid hour. Same thing with the severe bleeding and victim of sudden illness and musculoskeletal injuries. That's more of between medical emergencies and injuries, and we incorporated a lab so that way those skills can be done. And then all the way from the theory and practical application of the AED down is pretty much BLS. And a good strong 10 hours, because we're looking at, it could be 12 to 16 people in a class based on what the college has decided. And I'm only sharing with you because R217 cannot fulfill the social distancing requirement. And I am trying to secure another location for us. So we could have possibly 12 to 16 students. As you know, our classrooms are rather small and they're holding possibly anywhere 8 to 10. And with us right now, students are not working on one mannequin. Each student has their own mannequin, and then you're organizing the two rescuer process accordingly based on social distancing. So just so you know that. I also need you all to note that the wording is no longer certification, and I have to let Julie, we need to change that. It is a completion card. So students receive a completion card now. It's not certification. The new wording is basically completion card. And if you go on their website. No, actually, it still says certification when you look at the catalog description. And I did mark that, and I was going to tell you that. Yeah. So when we just need to change that. The rest of it is fine. We just need to say completion card.
Okay.
Because that's the correct verb wording if they go on the AHA website.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Any questions? I think the first aid, most of it can, without a problem, be done online. And then we could always do touch bases and just clarify, recap once they come for lab. Okay. All right. So what I would like to do, hey, Julie, can you make me a moderator so I can show my screen?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully. Okay. Try.
All right. So let me. So just so everyone knows, we no longer have paper rosters. I am in the process of trying to secure your access into Enrollware. So Enrollware is the software now that the American Heart Association is using to complete your rosters. And this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to need to meet with all of you. I can meet with you individually. I'm going to try and do it together, because what's happening is you have to connect your instructor network to Enrollware. And that is done with an access key code that you get through Instructor Network, and then you transfer it to Enrollware. But I will, and to get you logged in initially, I did not realize this, but your first login into Enrollware, the password needs to come from the training center. And I was not aware of that. I thought I could provide you guys with a first-time password, but I cannot. So unfortunately, I'll be sending you an email to provide you with guidance on how to get you into Enrollware. And basically, this is what it's going to look like when you come into the administrative portion of it. You're going to notice that all of us are listed as instructors, but not all of you have access to it. I did let Addison know that you will be entering all your own data, that it will not be coming from me or anyone from the department because of the lack of staffing that we have. And what basically occurs is you enter a class in by adding a class. Once you added the class, your students will also have the ability to go in and add themselves, which can save you time. And you're going to do that when they're on campus. Once you enter them, you then need to update any information from the student, as well as finalize their roster and finalize their scores. So basically, this is much easier from the perspective, there's no paperwork. The beauty of Enrollware is when you enter the student's name and you basically put in their data and let it be known that they have now been authorized to get a card, they will automatically, the cards will be generated for them through Enrollware. And that's what will happen. And then you can still print a roster. Jason Halstead, Lieutenant Jason Halstead, who is our training center supervisor coordinator, will also have the ability to go in here. There are a few things that do create a problem when it comes to a couple of nuances that I will explain to you, that he is the only one that will be able to correct, but then I will talk to you about that when I sit down with you. It was my hope that I would be able to get you guys acclimated today, but with most of you being, many of the instructors not being on, I'll try and make arrangements accordingly to help you. So this is pretty much how it's working. Then you can go in here, you can edit the scores. What'll happen is you go in, you hit the student's status. Did they complete? Is it incomplete? Is it remediate? You then can put a score in there. And then what'll happen is once you save the changes, it'll generate an e-card code for them, and they will then be able to get their cards. I still, and this is very important, I still have to allocate to you completion cards. So when your class has completed, you still need to send an email requesting your completion cards. Then I will assign them to your inventory, and it is actually your inventory that partners with Enrollware to allow you to issue that card to the student. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
How does the student get in here to get their card?
The student does not. The American Heart Association will send them an email like they did before, and the student will log into AHA, and that's where the card will be distributed to them. They'll create a login because they will have access to that card for those 2 years, it'll be available to them.
Okay.
So this is basically for us, for instructors and administrators. This is not for students. Students will log into the AHA organization to get their cards.
Who's giving the passwords to the instructors to get in then?
Jason should be giving me the passwords to get them their first login. Once they log in, they will then change their password to the password of their choice.
Okay.
So I sent Jason an email asking him because I was playing on Jeannie's as an instructor, trying to give her a passcode, and I couldn't do it because it has to come from the training site. I mean, from training center, not the training site. Because the training center has to recognize who has access to this.
Right.
Some site coordinators enter all of the rosters themselves, but most usually try to get their own instructors to enter the data themselves. They'll be responsible for it.
So let me rephrase my understanding of everything. So you'll give the instructor the password and they're going to log in, and then with an access code, they're going to connect to the instructor site. And after they do that, they will enter a course. They will enter the student names.
Well, what I've done is when I was on campus, when I first did this, I did enter the student names. This last time when I was on campus for BLS, I opened up the system. I had the students, if you watch my arrow, I had the students enter their data. Then they hit add a student, and then all I did is go back and double check it. So I allowed them the day they were on campus to go in and enter the information for them.
And then once the students entered, the teacher will then go in there to update the scores. And really that's it for the faculty's responsibility on this page.
Well, no, they have to edit the scores, put in the information, finalize the roster, and then print the card. So if you look here to the red bar that I'm circling, what you're doing is you're editing the scores where they're putting in, did they complete, what scores did they get. They finalize the roster to make sure everything looks good. And then when you print the cards, that is when they're sent to the students.
Oh, so printing cards isn't really printing, it's sending an electronic message to send the emails to the students.
Correct. And then you have access to printing a list of the students and their codes.
Okay. And what does that finalized roster do? Just tell the computer that the grades have been entered properly?
Yes. Basically, once that roster is finalized, you can't make any changes. It's been submitted. And if you needed to make a change or a correction, I think that's where the training center has to come in and access it, or it could be the administrator, it could be the site coordinator. I'm not quite sure. I know that certain errors has to be done by by Jason because he oversees this whole software program for us.
Okay.
It's actually pretty simple. It's actually, getting it acclimated to it is a problem at first. Probably the biggest dilemma that I came to find is you're only doing a roster at the end of the semester or twice a semester, so you kind of forget some of the processes, but I will have an instruction sheet that will allow you to have some guidance as you do that.
Okay. Jeannie, Katie, or Sam, any questions?
Here, let me go in and show you one of my completed classes. So this is the class, they didn't put all the notes and everything in there, okay. But this is the list you can print out for yourself and put information in there. Let's see if I could view roster. So here's my roster where I entered the information. And this class is, Heart Saver First Aid. Scores are not placed on here. It's just whether or not they completed it or did you need remediation. Does that help everyone?
And do they get the card at that time, Kath?
No, they get an email just like when we uploaded it into Instructor Network. You know how you hit save and process?
Yeah.
I think it's a little faster. It's maybe within 24 hours they'll get notification. I've never asked anyone. Now, if you need to investigate whether or not the student claimed the card, now you're going to need to go into Instructor Network. So you still need actually both. Think of Enrollware as the roster process, and then think of Instructor Network where you will go to check on the status of a student, whether or not they claimed a card. So instead of paper rosters, we're doing it in Enrollware. Is that clear to people?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it's just going to be a matter of sitting down with you.
Can you comment, Kathy, on the new instructor resources for teaching?
Well, basically, the BLS Basic Life Support, when teaching BLS, has to be the 2020 guidelines. And thanks for bringing it up, Julie. So as of right now, any courses that you're teaching related to BLS, you must be teaching the 2020 guidelines. We do have instructor manuals for you. I know some faculty did pick them up, but if you did not receive a set of instructor manuals, please notify me and I can get them to you. We are teaching the 2015 guidelines for Heart Saver for right now. Those manuals have not been updated, but if you did the update through the American Heart Association for 2020, there is information in there related to Heart Saver. It's just that the manual has not been updated, nor has the videos been updated. One thing I did forget that just came to my attention is you need to send the Addison Fire Department a copy of your completion certificate for the 2020 updated guidelines. So I did send everyone an email telling you that the guidelines, you needed to do the video series and it needed to be completed by February 1st. All of you should have received a certificate. I did ask all of you to send me that certificate, okay, individually. So you need to email because I have to have record of it. But I just became aware that not only do you need to send the completion certificate to me, but you also need to send the completion certificate to the Addison Fire Department, to Jason. And I will send out a quick email today reminding you of that. And I was not really aware of that, but what I can tell you is I just received my updated instructor certification, and that was based on the update material. So now I have a current instructor certification because they received my certificates from the update. Did I make myself clear? Julie, did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else with questions? Okie dokie.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. And again, this is recorded and I will send everyone the link in case you need to refer back to this, but feel free to ask Kathy or I questions. Does anybody have any other questions about the department before we end for today?
And don't hesitate to send me an email. I will send you an email recapping a little bit of what I said. And if you have not sent me your completion of the 2020 guidelines, you need to do that ASAP. Because we have to have record of everything in here in case we get questioned.
Kathy, I need the instructor materials. Can you put them in my mailbox and I can come grab them?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. That might be it then. I will update everyone with any new information that I have, probably via email. And that will be it for today. Everyone have a good day.
You too.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Julie.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.